As I was swimming my laps and I would look over at this immense concrete wall, it struck me one day, it's just begging for a ceramic mural. My younger son entered 6th grade at Fulmore Middle School, and at back to school night, his art teacher, Wanda Montemayor, started talking about the ceramic mural she was doing with her students for the facade of the school.
The idea and the birth of the project began with me finishing up my art therapy program. You could either write a 100-page thesis or you could create a project. And I was like, project sounds way better.
A parent of a child said, oh, you know what, at Deep Eddy Pool, there's this wall that's big and ugly, and they took out these cottonwood trees and put in this huge 11-foot-high curving wall, and it just is an eyesore. And maybe you could come up with a mosaic idea for that.
Lila approached me at the beginning of the school year. She had no idea that I fully developed the entire thesis. I said, yeah, I would love to.
Wanda Montemayor and Lila Levinson came to us with this idea of creating a mosaic mural on the wall that goes along the ramp from the parking lot down to the hike and bike trail. A mural which would depict the life and history of the pool and this area before the pool was here.
We could have done a beautiful design about water or diving or whatever. But the name Deep Eddy had always been a mystery to me. Like, what did that mean? What did it refer to, the eddy?
Before the Colorado River, now known as Lady Bird Lake, formerly Town Lake, was dammed up, there was a rock formation in the river that created an eddy. And an eddy is simply just a place where the water in a river will be obstructed by something in the river, causing water kind of to recirculate.
If Austin had a sort of Coney Island or something, it sort of started out as a Coney Island. It was a beach resort outside of the city, at the end of the streetcar line. Somewhere between 1910, all the way really up to the Depression, people's entertainment were traveling shows.
A circus promoter had bought the land in partnership with a couple of other people, and he added all of these attractions that you would find at a carnival or a circus. Like there would be the horse diving lady, or there would be a trapeze. Like that would be a typical circus thing. And of course, they put one so that you could flip into the pool. How fun was that? There were these giant slides.
In 1921, one of the spectacles at the Deep Eddy bathing beach was a diving baby named Marcia Borg, who wasn't even 6 years old, and she would stand atop the platform with her arms stretched out and would proceed to dive 100 feet into the waters there at the bathing beach.
And so I thought it would be really fun at that mural to give people not only something gorgeous that fit in with the scenery that was blue and green, kind of like the area, but also to inform them from the Indians that used to live there to the roaring 20s heyday of sort of Schlitterbahn of the era.
So we were still working on this as our design for 4 years. And then we met with Jean Graham. We showed her our little Prismacolor.
They had to come up with a really detailed budget. They had to come up with a visual design for the project.
Lisa went to the History Center, and she went and looked at all of the historic images and she could find and read all the articles about the pool. She took all of the photocopies and scanned them in and made them JPEGs. Then we enlisted Chris Blankenship to help us with the layout. Chris and Lisa and I all sat and we pulled together the composition, but we were really trying to figure out the final layout, you know, what's gonna look good from the viewer at the pool. And so that's how we did the first process.
So it took us a bunch of hours, you know, to import these pictures and crop them out and then make them the right size and place them.
The Prismacolor to the final project. There is a lot of similarities. There's also a lot of differences. It's kind of interesting to look at. I can feel how art therapy changes a community. Making people have pride, raising their self-esteem, and really the foundational part of art therapy and community art therapy is the relationships that you create with everyone that you make art with. And then the added bonus to community art therapy is that you have a long-term visual reminder of that connection together. The fundraising aspect of the mural was a very important part of it. First of all, we needed money to make a mural. The second part was we were able to start promoting the idea of the pool, the idea of community art therapy. We started with a grassroots approach where we literally went door to door with the flyers and saying, hey, there's gonna be a beautiful mural at your pool. So the family tile day served two purposes. First of all, yes, we were getting $10 a tile, but honestly, we wanted the people at the pool to be there, to be a part of the process, to make tiles for it. We also wanted all the lifeguards, the ticket people, to also have tiles. So those were just given to them. We invited some of our workshop people to come and make tiles too during the family day, because it just kept on making their part of the process even that much more special. At that time, we had about 15,000. I mean, we had part of it. It's about a $50,000 project. So we had some of the seed money and we were just buying stuff out of our pockets.
It is a very laborious process to create public art. You know, you never know what's going to work, what's not, but you just have to believe in your project. You have to have total commitment to it, because if people don't see that commitment on your part, they're never going to be willing to invest anything themselves.
We hadn't been funded by the city yet. They were kind of holding off on seeing how much money we could raise before they would give us some money.
So this is what we presented to Art in Public Places. We wanted people to be able to have an idea of what this thing would really look like rather than just our drawing.
The Art in Public Places program commissions artists to do artwork incorporated into buildings and sites throughout the city. We came up with a plan to suggest that the Art in Public Places funding be used for the Deep Eddy pool project.
Quite a while. I'm glad you nipped it a little.
This is the pool, and that is the wall. Okay, next. You know, we Xeroxed the whole Deep Eddy file and read everything, and
They'll be doing something in a contained shape that has symbols of them as their family. We'll also have 7 different campuses. They're located all over Austin.
It was a really excellent presentation. Thank you. Very well done. I'll make a motion to approve the Deep Eddy House Mural Project funding.
Second. Excellent. All in favor? Motion approved. Yay, thank you all for coming.
They loved it. They hadn't really ever seen a community project like this before. As I said, they said, you're setting the standard. And I think it's foundationally, many artists have a hard time sharing their art piece. And so that's probably why I'm guessing it's hard for large-scale community art pieces to happen, because by nature of the beast in artists is this is my creation.
She came up with this fabulous idea of having art teachers all over the school system make the tiles with their students so that it truly became a community project. I mean, I just thought, wow, that's going to really make this a meaningful mural, not just for the swimmers of Deep Eddy, but for the entire town who will become invested in that project.
Community art therapy is about creating a relationship with the community and being able to see it, that public art piece. It gives you a voice that you can see. When you see your message, it has a deeper meaning. We did this with 6 different workshops, we did it with 6 different schools, and then we had all these little add-on community workshop events. So through the process, there were many, many workshops with nonprofits. One of them was communities and schools. Another workshop we did was the Big Brother, Big Sister. We also did a workshop with Safe Place. Safe Place is a battered women's shelter, so we worked with the children that were on site, and they made tiles about their hopes, their dreams, and it was all about them knowing how special that they were. Most young women don't get to make art with their fathers. So in our Come Madre, and the workshop was Come Padre, these young girls, these Hispanic girls, the purpose of the agency is to help Latina girls, first generation, college bound, make it to college. We had teacher workshops where we made molds of fish that were going to be used and distributed. We had workshops where we just talked about the design. Fundraising workshops where we asked for everyone to come together to help us figure out how we're going to raise the money for this. The teachers probably attended somewhere around 10 or 12 workshops because they were part of the team. They were in charge of a very big chunk of Mural where they were going to teach their students the history. The bottom line is making relationships, bringing people together to make something beautiful. The first workshop that made us all go, ah, and like made us feel all tingly and crazy, we printed it on vellum and we rolled it all out on the gym floor because it was the largest space, and we taped it down, and then we just saw it. We all just sat there and we freaked out, and that was only like 600 square feet of it, maybe. From start to finish, now we're 1,200 square feet. Okay, so we sat there, we laid it out, we were freaking out. Oh God, it's so gorgeous. Then we just basically let teachers kind of hash it out.
We figured the most manageable way was if each teacher had sort of a different section. We kind of cut it into big chunks. Not straight sections, but curvy sections.
It was kind of like stand in front of the part you want, and then we just took scissors and we just chopped it in.
So basically, the section that you got, like if you got more image, you were going to wind up doing more cutting out with an X-Acto knife of the sharp black and white stencil. So you kind of almost decided, wow, you know, how much do I want to do that? And you would get one with more image or less or whatever.
A lot of the adults did the principal images. So, you know, I was in charge of the trapeze, and I was in charge of the rats, which are pretty exciting. And then the students actually did some of the fillers. We also had community members and teachers and other organizations come in and help us out with the project. So it really became a communal event, which is really nice.
It was a massive project, and that was just at our school, and that was just for small sections, and then there's, you know, 7 different teachers that are working on this, and all these, you know, different community members and volunteers and the Mosaic Guild, and everybody was contributing and making pieces and holding workshops, and so there were just thousands and thousands of tiles that were being created, and it was far bigger than my expectations.
They liked the idea to be a part of something in the community, but they didn't know what scale it would be because they're just seeing their section from a small piece.
It wasn't until we were laying out the mural on the floor of the art studio at O. Henry Middle School that all of us realized just how immense that wall really was.
Gosh, I feel like I lived at O. Henry during that time. In fact, my son turned 6 at O. Henry, and that was his birthday party. Happy birthday, candles in the cupcakes, and the mural.
The layout was so intense, and it really could not have been done any sooner than when we did it. And Wanda basically took over the other guy's classroom, and he didn't quite understand what was going to happen.
I realized the gigantic grandeur, monumentalness of this project when the teachers started bringing back all our milk crates full of our tiles.
We used this really thick, clear tape. And so once you laid everything out, you laid this tape down over it to hopefully tape everything to it. But of course, when you lifted it up, you would have pieces fall out. I mean, this was the insanity of it.
I learned so much from laying out and mapping out.
And then once we have it all taped out, then you have to cut it out into like foot chunks and label everything. There was a lot of pictures being taken.
We finished taking over one of the classrooms at O'Henry Middle School. We had all of our tiles laid out. So there was a moment where I was like, holy cow, how am I gonna get all of this tile to the park?
It's like moving a library where you don't want the books to get out of order. So, you know, you have this plan carrying and hauling all these heavy tiles from one location over to the installation location.
Then they put it on this truck and drove it down the trail, and they must have gotten about 20 phone calls to the police from, you know, concerned citizens on the bike trail saying that there was this truck on the bike trail.
First to put the mosaic up on the wall, that was exciting because everybody was huddled around and they're watching this one section of the wall go up. And at the same time, everyone's huddled around you watching it all go up, and that's a lot of pressure. You didn't know until you got it up on the wall how it was going to be. And then that was it. Mine was the first one going up too. So a lot of experimenting with application and making sure the layout and putting pieces on and then popping them off. You know, but that just goes with it. Art is also a changing. Nothing is a constant. It's evolving.
Not what I need. Not good.
We had to just do sections, try to slap up what we could, shift around, and then butter in pieces around them, but it was a race against time.
Again, you want everything to look like it's flowing together, so if one person just puts up their work and then walks away, the next person, they're basing what they're doing off what you've done, and it can work out, but I think it's better when you've got artists working together, helping those pieces transition. And it was huge. What we thought we'd get done in 3 days, a week, all of a sudden became 3 months.
Once I was on the site and saw the expansiveness of the wall, and every day how much was either not getting done or getting done, and being just awed by how much we had gotten into. We had estimated, I think, like a week or less, and after the first few days it was really clear that we had so much work and we had so much to do that we needed a little bit more than a week.
We were told that it was going to take about a week, maybe 2 weeks to install.
We might have miscalculated how many days we were going to take to install. My initial estimate was 2 weeks max. A week, and I thought I would give myself a week filler, you know, because we're outsourcing the grout job.
We extended our mural once we got started because we thought it was going to stop where this bush was, but then the bush got taken away in the meantime. As a result of that, we had not gotten enough glass.
We had all of these leftover crates, and so we went ahead and continued another 500 square feet. And that was the part that took us an extra 2 months. All the manufacturers across the United States were out of blue and green oceanside glass. So I put out an email to the Mosaic Guild, and Diane Sonnenberg and Jim Barry had some in their stores. They gave it all to us, and we just were calling, and we would just get like shipments sometimes of just a few little pieces. Sometimes we'd hit the mother lode and we'd get big pieces.
And thank God for the Austin Mosaic Guild. Oh my gosh, they saved our life. You know, those people knew what they were doing.
One of the things that, because they work with glass a lot in their own personal mosaics, they were really good.
Mofo, that was the nickname that I got. Wanda called me Mofo. She said, you're the Mofo glass cutter.
You know, they saw the sheets of glass and they went right for it. And they were like, what shape do you want this? And so, I mean, there would be people who would cut all day just the kinds of curves or little cubes that we needed.
One of the more challenging jobs and duties at the wall during install definitely was the cleaning up. The cleaning up was, I won't say brutal, but if you didn't have enough people, it went really slow. And that was really important. We had to clean up beautifully. Literally on the wall itself, you have to clean the grout. that overlapped pieces of glass that were thinner than the tiles. You had to make sure that the grout was even, so some grouting actually had to be leveled out and added.
I must confess that when I went and saw all the pieces coming together, I thought, oh my gosh, how is this ever going to come together? They had it laid out all over the floor and people were walking around. And so that was my one moment of trepidation.
Working in the Texas heat, and it was probably the hottest summer on record, we found out that it wasn't really feasible to handle tile at 2 in the afternoon or 1 in the afternoon.
We had over 100 days of over 100-degree heat.
And then of course you were up against time and heat because that butter on the wall was drying so swiftly.
How's the manicure?
I, of course, would go swimming every day, because I love swimming. So I was very excited by that. That also kept me out of trouble.
No other way to be doing this when it's 104 degrees out.
A lot of hauling and walking and sweating.
We did have a special day when Mayor Lee Laughingwell came to the mural during the installation. The artist had sought him out because he grew up in Austin, and they asked him to do a piece that would be contributed to the mosaic. He made a clay piece, and he was invited along with his wife to come to Deep Eddy Pool and install the piece himself.
I remember as a kid coming to this place, and it was always a special treat to get your parents to drive you in a car to this place, and there was no place in town quite like Deep Eddy.
We were very excited at how collaborative this mural was, and it's amazing how many people are connected to it.
The students did the surrounding tiles, and they were able to, personalize them in certain ways.
On the smaller tiles, we let the students leave a message, leave a mark. We tried to urge them to think about their future, when they would see this maybe in the future even, be able to find it. So we asked them to write things that were going to matter to them forever.
These students, a lot of them were born here, and they just have this limited perspective of their world. And for them to go a little deeper and find out the history of downtown and this project that they are now becoming a part of, it made a lot of them feel connected and gave them some insight.
That was a really important thing for me to see happening, to see people wanting to lead their legacy, their memory.
Wanda and Lisa, they're really easy and great to work with. They really shared their inspiration about what it was to them, and it was really easy to just be a part of all of that. I first became involved in the project through a friend of mine, Melinda Taylor. She thought I would be interested in checking it out and just invited me to come along one night. But I think we ended up using something like 50 odd bags of grout that were like 25 pounds a piece, which are large bags for grout. Usually if you're doing a bathroom or a project at home, you're usually only using like a 5 or 10 pound bag usually, so that just gives you some idea of scale.
He did a great job. He had a really high ethic. He wanted it to look great, and he did it. I was grateful for him, because by the time grout time came, we were done. We were so tired.
My favorite part about the Deep Eddy project was getting to open up the art world to so many different people.
When we were there working on it, a lot of people came by, and it felt really good to be a part of it. They would tell us how amazing it was, and it wasn't even done.
It was good that the community loves art so much that they embraced what we had done. I enjoyed it. I mean, I think we all kind of learned from each other. We all learned about each other's quirks and personalities. And I think that's what made the project really fun.
It's literally a lasting mark on a city that I was born in, at a place that I went when I was little. Just being able to have my family know that that was something that we left.
To Wanda and Lisa, I said, I am so honored that you have picked me to be a part of this project. It hit me then. after that first day that what we were doing was so important.
I loved every minute of it, and even though it was really hard and really hot and really sweaty and took years, it was really worth it.
The most gratifying moment, I think, was that last week. You're crying and you're laughing all at the same time, happiness and joy and exhaustion, light delusion. I think it was one of those end moments that I was just like, we did it. Funding provided by the Matson McHale Foundation.